Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again a warm welcome to the Tourism Students Festival 2020, organized by New Tourism Foundation, the first ever initiative at the national level to focus on education sector on tourism, bringing students in academia into an interface with the industry and the government, with a view to prepare for the challenges for the new normal. And on behalf of New Tourism Foundation, I extend a warm welcome to all our eminent panel members of this session. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic for our next session is exhibitions, events, and conferences, the new opportunities in new normal. The new normal for exhibitions, events, and conferences calls for several SOPs to be followed, involving disinfection, thermal scanning, screening, masks, etc. It also has given rise to opportunities for digitalization and technology in the respective areas, not by means of replacement, but by adding value. After all, exhibitions, events, and conferences cannot do away with the human aspect. All these events are about meeting, connecting, and building relationships. And moving on with the proceedings of this session, I introduce our eminent panelists. Our eminent panelist, Mr. Amit Sadana, is a seasoned hospitality professional, has over 2 decades of diversified knowledge-based experience in sales and marketing in various industries, including his core forte, hospitality. He possesses a strong analytical and organizational potential combined with flexible and eye-to-detail oriented outlook, has proficiency in designing sales, marketing, and revenue management strategies. These efficiencies will prove to further promote Pride's core concept and services, strategy, planning, market research, brand management, competition, analysis, forecasting, and training and business development. His prior rich experience had roles as National Head Sales Marketing and Revenue Distribution with Orchid Group of Hotels. Mr. Amit Sadana was also associated with Accor Group of Hotels and Intercontinental Group of Hotels. Our next eminent speaker for the session, Mr. N. Binu, is founder Meroform Private Limited, Gautam Buddha Nagar, Uttar Pradesh, India, has 39 years of experience in exhibitions, events, and retail business, out of which 20 years have been as Managing Director of Meroform India Private Limited, 19 years as partner, and then as director in an exhibition company, 8 years in paper manufacture as supervisor, shift in charge, and paper maker. Our next speaker for this session, Mr. Ashish Jagota, is the Executive Director, Concept Conferences Private Limited, has an experience of 14 years, the MICE industry. In his tenure, he has been traveling worldwide, organizing conventions, participating in seminars and events. He is co-founder of Concept Conferences Private Limited, which was established in December 2013. Under the banner of Concept, he successfully concluded various conventions and special events in India and abroad. Ashish's in-depth knowledge and passion for MICE led him to get developed software which focuses and caters to various requirements of conferences. He was successful in changing the traditional ways to organize corporate and associate meetings. Our next eminent speaker, Mr. Piyush Tiwari, is Director, Commercial and Marketing, India Tourism Development Corporation since May 2015. He's been looking after Hotel Division, Events Division, Engineering and Infrastructure Division, Sound and Light Shows, Travels and Tours Division, International Trade Division, Hospitality Education Division, and the Marketing Divisions, working as marketing professional for more than 33 years. Our next eminent panelist for this session, Mr. Naveen Rizvi, is the Executive Director at ICE Integrated Conferences and Event Management. He is responsible for corporate meetings and incentives, conferences and events within India and overseas, which is augmented with over 20 years of rich experience he possesses in the field. Mr. Naveen is the board member of SITE, Society of Incentive Travel Excellence, India chapter, and board member of ICPB India Convention Promotion Bureau. Former board member of the Asia Pacific Customer Advisory Board for Starwood Hotels, now Marriott International, and Board of Studies of Amity Institute of Tourism and Travel, Amity's University. Eminent panelist, Mr. Sanjay Soni is Vice Chairman, TSF 20, Founder Trustee, New Tourism Foundation, Founder and Chief Knowledge Director, Incredible Design, Founder and Managing Partner at Blue Brick Marketing and Communications Business Vertical of Incredible Design. Blue Brick Marketing and Communications is a Bangalore-based boutique support service company providing a comprehensive package of marketing and communication services. Mr. Soni is the former Honorary Treasurer at India Convention Promotion Bureau, ICPB, a marketing body sponsored by Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, for promoting India as a MICE destination, presently Governing Board Member 2015 to 2017. Eminent panelist, Mr. Shrikant Bakarkar has a combined experience of 20 years in the areas of managing, mentoring, coaching, and motivating in the hospitality industry. In his previous roles, Shrikant has held leadership positions in food and beverages in Hyatt Regency, Delhi, Taj Mahal Palace and Taj Mumbai, and Taj President Mumbai. He's actively contributed to the renovation projects of rooms, coffee shop and bars at the Taj Samudra Hotel, Colombo, and he was instrumental in launching the Intercontinental Goa Resort as a premium venue for weddings and MICE events. And ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished moderator for this session, Mr. Amit Saroj, started his career with the hospitality sector. He spent close to 5 years in sales and marketing in the hospitality sector, working for hotels, and started Attitude Events Private Limited in the year 2000 with a vision to build a leading conference organizing company in India. He is also the governing body member of the India Convention Promotion Bureau. And now, ladies and gentlemen, may I hand over to our moderator, Mr. Amit Saroj, to kindly carry forward the proceedings of this session. Over to you, sir.
Hey, good day to everyone, and welcome to a very interesting and apt session during these times of COVID. We are going to be talking about our industry. We are fortunate to have a very interesting panel today. We have representation from the hotel industry, the exhibition industry, the PCOs. There are 2 PCOs, in fact, here, including myself is 3. And we have a design company which specializes in exhibitions and conferences. So COVID impact has affected all of us. And I think it's been close to about 6 months. We have been fighting our market scenario individually and as a group together. And I think most of us have now started getting traction in all the new opportunities and new areas that we've thought of. We've seen hotels going into food and beverage delivery models. We've seen virtual meetings coming in a big way. We've seen exhibition companies also moving into technology. And there are a lot of stuff which, there's a lot of stuff which is happening which was probably not the normal course and would not have happened, in fact, if COVID would have not happened. So in a way, it has been a great opportunity for some of the companies, and we'll see that traction coming along in a very big way. So I'm going to start this discussion with my PCO friend, because I am a PCO myself. So I'm going to go to Naveen straight away and take his views in terms of what changes has the PCO industry seen in the business in the new normal, which is being created right now. So Naveen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Amit. I think this is a very interesting time because the way we were doing businesses pre-COVID, and things will definitely change during the COVID time or maybe immediately post-COVID. I always say during the COVID time in the sense because the live events have already started. We're already starting doing some conferences and the events are already on. The difference is basically earlier there was no new There's a new concept of having social distancing, having sanitizers, a lot of these things. But now what is happening, like suppose what we are doing a conference in a big convention hotel, we have to use the entire ballroom to the maximum capacity, keeping in mind the social distancing aspect, the guidelines and the SOPs given by the government. So that is something, is a new designing of a hall, if I may say. That we have to do entire thing in such a way that hall should look totally occupied, but yet we have to have this SOP in place. So I think that is something which we have never done before. Earlier, the idea was to have maximum people inside the hall, if you remember, Amit. Now the whole concept is how we can ensure everybody is safe. There should be a proper distance maintained, the 6 feet which has been advised. And similarly, the purpose of a meeting also needs to be achieved. So that is something which is very, very important, which we as a PCO, as an event organizer, we have to keep in mind. We also need to educate our clients, because sometimes clients ask us certain things like, oh, we never used to do like this in the past, but why are you advising us to do this like this? So we and a hotel partner both needs to explain, or a venue partner needs to explain together that this is the norm which we need to follow. This is the way we have to take things forward. So this is something which we need to practice, all of us, and we need to educate our clients. Similarly, we have to also ensure there should not be too many people at the same time. Like even for buffets, what we are keeping in mind, the distancing aspect, we are trying to having lunches in the open areas, although the climate in north is still little warm in the afternoon. But eventually now we are moving into October and November, so it's a good pleasant time. So these are certain things which we have to keep in mind while we are having a particular event or a conference. We have to keep in mind the numbers. So what we are doing, in case now the guidelines is still after 15, you can have maximum 200 participants. If in case the capacity is larger, we cannot go beyond that. So remaining participants, we are asking them to join virtually. So it's like a hybrid event model. Earlier, the idea is to involve everyone, call maximum people to the venues. You must have seen yourself, or all the fellow panelists, that sometimes you used to get calls, sometimes you get messages every day that, okay, the second session, the third day, second day, all these things. Now that kind of encouragement won't be there, because the idea is to restrict people. So the model of the business will be a little hybrid, and I think this hybrid model will continue for some time.
Thank you, Naveen. You've also added a lot what our hotelier friends would be adding, I'm sure, in terms of the operations of the conferences. So I'm going to go to Mr. Tiwari now, and I think I'm going to ask the same question. What change do you see in the hotel business post-COVID?
Can you come again, please?
I said, what changes do you see in the hotel industry now post-COVID?
Okay. In fact, we are all, I think, sufferers sitting here. Talking in terms of past, present, and future, if you see, I think travel, tourism, and hospitality was first, is worst, and will be longest impacted segment among all the industries. And let's see now, MICE, as we say, MICE has become a part of all travel and tourism industry. And Ashoka being one of the, Ashok Samrat Complex being one of the largest destination for MICE activities. In fact, initially we were wondering, having at times size becomes a problem, because when we started operations at a smaller scale, it is not economical for us. Ashok has got 550 rooms. Now, if I have to run a room with 50, with the occupancy of only 50, I am not even able to recover the cost. But then that also serves as a good purpose from this MICE perspective, because we have got largest convention hall in the city. We have got open lawns which can accommodate to thousands of people, and we have got multiple venues within the same hotel. So we can hold big conferences also, because now government has allowed 200. They say 50% of capacity or 200. In fact, 50% capacity for my convention hall would be around 400, with a good amount of distance. If you take 25 square feet per person also, which is generally taken in engineering. So we are well equipped for that, and we have, as you said, we have also started working in a hybrid mode. We have already conducted some events, especially for the government departments, wherein there is an attendance of around 30-40 people in our premises when limit was 50, and it was being telecast to the other audiences. Now we have started getting some inquiries for some larger conferences also, where number could be 150 or 200. And again, it would be same hybrid model. So we have to now depend on both, best of both the worlds, physical as well as virtual. It will make e-audiences and e-panelists a reality. because you know what is going to happen. All the panelists may not be there. One or two panelists may be sitting in the hall. Remaining panelists may be sitting in cozy environment of their houses or offices and participating. But things have to definitely go on, because see, while we do talk of a new normal, nobody can define what is that new normal, because this situation is so dynamic and unpredictable. And only certain thing about this present environment is that everything is uncertain. We see long-term plans for all the hoteliers or maybe PCO operators, while long-term plans may still be achievable. But I think short-term and medium-term plans need to be reworked, and entire strategy has to be changed now. Because presently questions of survival. Revival will come later. We have to survive first and then revive. And what I'm seeing, lots of players are going to get wiped out as well, which of course will create an opportunity for some new players. But within the existing setup, lots of people are going to go away. So hotel, as I told you, we are well, because having 550 rooms, somebody who wants to hold a conference of 200, they can be in one hotel. Because what we are doing presently, we are allocating rooms after a gap of one room, rather than giving continuous rooms. Just to see, because all these are certain activities which are needed to generate a confidence of the guests. Because see, vaccine will give only vaccine will actually protect you, but unless you are mentally assured that okay, now I'm protected, I'm working in a safe environment, I'm safe here, all the protocols are being followed. Like we have developed the detailed protocols for almost all the segments of our hotel, starting from guard to the person who serves you. In fact, ITDC took a lead, and in fact our CMD took an initiative. We have signed an MOU with AIIMS. Purpose of this MOU, it's called an advisory body. It consists of representatives from ITDC and practicing doctors from AIIMS. What they do, we discuss situation on almost real-time basis, every weekly or fortnightly basis. They come and inspect what are the steps we are taking, and then they say to us, okay, now situation has changed like this, so now you should also start taking this step, or now this step is more needed. So we are taking all these steps to evoke confidence of customers, because that is most important. Because my personal feeling is, in spite of availability of vaccines also, unless people feel safe, things are not going to start. We might say vaccine has worked, but unless it is mental security, what we have in mind, situation will improve only after that. So this is what I have to say as a hotelier on this.
Thank you. With this change in the revenue for hybrid meetings and smaller number of people attending the meetings, and I'm sure it has impacted the revenue model of every hotel. So I'm going to go to all the hotelier friends here, Srikanth and Amit. And would you like to add in terms of what changes are you making in your strategies, or let's say revenue models, to survive in this time, and what new opportunities do you see?
Hi, Shrikant, please go ahead.
Okay, so the hotel I work in is primarily a convention hotel. Okay, and we've seen a real major decline in the business at the hotel because we rely on residential conferences, destination weddings, summits, which involves travel from all over India and in some cases all over the world as well. So with travel having come to a virtual halt, a grinding halt, we are very badly affected, and moreover, we don't have too much of FIT business at our hotel because of its location. So the decline has been drastic in the business, and to be very honest, we don't have any single residential wedding or conference at all in the near or distant future, nothing. So it's absolutely a blank slate. So whilst I did hear about virtual and hybrid conferences could be the way of the future, to be very honest, we've not got a single inquiry which talks about a virtual or hybrid conference. I have a capacity for about 3,000 people in our main ballroom. So I've not had any inquiry which says that, okay, we'll have 500 people attending physically and the rest 2,000 people or 3,000 people online. So this sounds very good, but in reality, nobody has really evinced any interest as far as the hybrid conferences are concerned, which are revenue yielding. Okay? There have been a lot of Zoom calls, webinars online, but yeah, there have been no real inquiries. Because I feel that till travel is very comfortable, till people are comfortable sitting next to each other in an economy class plane which is packed, it's not going to really inspire confidence for traveling. Secondly, so what have we done in this period is that we are concentrating on smaller functions, but that is confined to the city only, the residential events, smaller weddings. We have got no inquiries at all for any small conferences. In my hotel for the last 6 months or 4 months since the lockdown opened, we've had no conferences. So corporates are not really confident, or they don't want to go out and assemble, even if it's in a group as small as 25 or 30.
I think we had some internet issue with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So maybe he'll join back. Maybe Amit, we can hear your views on this now.
Yeah, hi. See, I'm glad that I'm hearing to all the very senior people all across. See, we need to understand this is just a phase. Accept it, this is just a phase, right? And it's nothing that industry has not gone previously. There was earlier, like 2007 also, there was some painful moments which came, and then 9/11 and all those things. The impact was there. Now, yes, this impact is really creating a big holes in the pockets. I do understand. But yes, there is another side also to look into. There are almost 15 odd segments which has done phenomenally well, right? We have done a proper studies, we have done it, we are working on it from 7 months. And when this problem started, the thought process was very clearly how we should survive. Either we shut down, right, or we should run the show. So we decided, no, we'll run the show, of course, but at what cost? We said, let's see what we can be done. So we did a brainstorming. We did so many things virtual. In fact, no one even could even imagine doing a DJ virtual party. So on an average, monthly, we were doing twice or thrice a DJ virtual party for the corporates. So in fact, there was a good corporates who joined, paid almost a good lakh of rupees, and 2,000 odd people joined worldwide, right?
Oh.
See, end of the day, it was all how you want to run the show. So either I'll sit back and say, oh, sorry, nothing gonna happen. Let me close my hand like this and pray to God to let the vaccine come. Or otherwise, we have to run the show. If you'll ask me, in month of May, during the lockdown, the first wedding came to us. It came with the proper documentation. Each one, everything was in place. And we did that wedding. It was only for 20 odd people. That's okay. And today also, if you'll ask me, on an average, monthly, we are doing 3 to 4 weddings all across my 20 hotels, as and when it's opening up. And Delhi's getting a maximum kind of traction, and we are doing it brilliant in weddings. Though from 50, it has gone up to 100. Slowly and gradually, it's increasing the pace. Now, a very basic thing is you need to go with the flow. No one even could have in the life could have ever thought Louis Vuitton will come with a mask. Even Louis Vuitton can't even imagine, right? So it's just how you change yourself with the pace. The problem is there, again, I'm repeating it, just a phase. It might be a year, it might be a 1.5 year, that's it. End of the day, things will bounce back the same way. But yes, I'll say it's a learning lesson. But yes, if you will see the other side of it, 30 odd industry doing phenomenally well. They are getting more and more richer. Who could ever imagine the agriculture, tractor industries, and all those things are raising up to 38 to 50%. So it comes to us. Yes, we are picking up a good, you'll say the weddings, which is the right now the requirements what we are getting. Yes, corporate is completely standstill, but yes, I'll say events is on standstill, right? Pharma movements have already started. Maybe it's a traction of 10, 15, this and that. See, we also need to understand the cost has gone up. It's not like previous requirements of chemicals, the housekeeping staff. A lot of things are there because of social distancing, and the cost has gone high. So there are corporates who are bouncing back to us and saying, reduce the cost. I said, on what ground do I reduce the cost? You need to be practical enough, right? So end of the day, I should be asking you more. So the only problem here it is the thought process. How best you can do with what kind of a safety security, right? You need to source it, the proper certification, like we sourced it from the HRS, the proper certification, because end of the day, your clients require the proper mindset that yes, everything is sorted. I can go to the Pride hotels. I am safe. My team is safe and everything is safe. Yes, I do agree. Nothing, it's like the revenues. Yes, it's just a big hole. But yes, by God's grace, we are running the show. In fact, we are having a 14 odd products, which is we are selling through the virtual. Entire banquet space we have turned out to be like co-working spaces. Everything is a co-working space. The suite rooms of the hotels we are giving to the PSUs, because the people who are of age of 48, 50, they are more at the risk, right? So we are providing them the same facility at the hotel suite room that, sir, you can come and operate from here. And we will give the same assistant, the secretarial, the business hub, and what all the documentation, everything will be taken care of. And you treat it work like an office. So that's going on for us. We are doing a facility management for the corporates. We are doing a co-working space. We are doing, as I said, a virtual DJ, virtual trainings. Everything we are doing virtually, and by God's grace, things are working. People are accepting it. Today, my interaction with you, it's a virtual interaction. So this is the new opening. We never thought in the life that segments like shipping and all those things will ever produce for us. But shipping is the biggest industry for us. It's like a bread and butter in today's scenario. So if you'll ask me, by God's grace, we are taking care of the fixed costs. And yes, yeah, we are taking that hit, but we are running the show. The promoters are supporting us in big time. See, again, I'm telling you, it's how you want to take the situation very clearly. We're going to have a big tie-ups very soon for weddings and events and mice and all those things, which will be coming up maybe in a week's time before Navratri. So we will definitely inform to the world we are heading towards.
Thank you, Amit. And I think thank you for sharing the optimism. I think more than anything, all the students who are listening to this need it because they have joined this industry and they are planning to join this industry. And hats off to you for your new opportunities. All you know, you may be ending up with a higher revenue in the financial year with all these extra opportunities that you've done. So fantastic. That's very inspiring, in fact. So I'm going to go to now the stalwart of the industry, the exhibition industry, Mr. Binu. With 39 years in the exhibition industry, what prompted you to move to technology? I see your LinkedIn post with a new virtual, meeting software that you have got into, and I think there are some large events that you've already been doing now. So if you could share some insights in terms of what prompted it and how do you see the industry in the future?
So, thank you. Hello to everybody. Necessity is the mother of invention. So, we were sitting here without any job for months, and our jobs is in a crowd-based, like everybody else here. We are in a crowd situation, and crowd situation was not going to come so easily. So we had to find a way out, and we already had a digital unit established about 2 years back, because we imagined that communication will move to digital media. Not necessarily virtual. At that point of time, we didn't have any idea about virtual coming, but communication was more and more moving towards digital in the way of whether we are doing an exhibition. We saw that, the digital content is more, print content is coming down, etc. So we had already established it. And in March, we thought, how do we tackle this situation? Then we thought, we can do a virtual event, virtual exhibition. And we searched everywhere. And the architect is my son, who is sitting in the next cabin here. We could not find anything worthwhile. Everything was 2D and it was not immersive. And people had already started using it. So I asked the clients, how much time are they spending in the virtual exhibition? The reply came 2 minutes, 3 minutes, etc., etc. In 2 minutes, you don't do any business. People are just coming in, looking through and going out. So we created a 3D environment, which is our first time in the world in exhibitions, because I have not seen any 3D exhibitions ever. And we created that in-house with the knowledge, with the perseverance of our team, we created that. And as you said, you have seen the videos. We saw that people are spending 15 to 17 minutes, not more than that. 15 to 17 minutes is rather good. If you are spending in front of a laptop or an iPad or something, it is good. And then we have the analytics. The analytics, we saw that, there's a feature called Dropbox. The Dropbox, people are dropping the card 24 to 48 to 72 cards. Now, whenever I participated in an exhibition, Marathon participated in an exhibition, it costed me 20 to 30 lakhs. And here people were paying 18,000 to 20,000 for participation. And people were getting 28, 30, 42, 70 cards. And when I was physically present, spending all that money, the number of leads I got was 100 over a period of 4 days. So then we found that this is a way which can go forward. Now, of course, it's you have to consider release one. As the virtual exhibitions go on developing, more technologies will come in. It will become more experiential. It will not replace physical. So we'll still get back to Pride Hotel and ITDC to do the physical exhibitions, but it will be there maybe parallelly running with the physical shows. My hypothesis is like the cinema which came in 100 years back. Cinema, they started shooting from a stage, put it on the screen, and then films evolved. Technologies came in, and technologies became more immersive than a drama or theater. So while Broadway exists in New York, Hollywood also exists. But Broadway cannot create a Titanic or Aliens or forgetting the new movies names. They cannot show it, but Hollywood can show it. But theater still offers some kind of a different experience. The actors interact with the audience sitting there, but both coexist. So my take on this one is that, physical and virtual will coexist. And after all, what is exhibition? Exhibition, we are communicating something. We are part of marketing communication. Our budgets come from marketing communication. So long as we can communicate, we can help sell the products, we will exist. That's my take on it. And that's why we decided to go to virtual.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. I have an interesting question on this, but I think that will be the common question I want to ask everyone. So I'll come back to that. I have an interesting point there. But anyways, for the moment, I think I will now move to Sanjay. Sanjay, we've seen you pivoting anyways right now. We are recording a session for TSS. So I don't know if there is a revenue model here, which is not. I know this is a non-profit, but this at least keeps you busy right now. So what do you see the change in the exhibition industry, and what are your thoughts in terms of how will it transform in the future?
Hi, Amit. Interesting to hear everybody talking about hotel and everybody. And my take in we were in Berlin in the month of March when actually the pandemic was declared, and we were in the middle of a show, building the show. Huge money at stake, lots of people there. Suddenly, we had built almost 70% of the show, and it said, "I'm sorry, the show is cancelled. We have to go back home." Very disheartened. We all came back, and forget money being recovered. The morale was down because the main the basis of how our business model has operated over the years was shaken up. So this gave us a time during this actually time to think back and see what is that we were looking at. I will take this a little comparison to another field over here. For example, if you look at cinema or you look at an author, it's the content which is finally presented. If you look at, but the money really rests with whom? The publisher, and the revenue rests with the distribution mechanism. So I would say all of us, like hotels and exhibition guys and conferences, PCOs, everyone, all of us, we all were part of the distribution mechanism which had increased the appearance or the rationale of a conference being handled. Because it's more important to see what is the revenue. If you look at the balance sheet of a conference, the content got the minimum revenue or expense on it. The expenses kept on increasing on infrastructure which went around that content. So I think during this time, we all sat back and realized what is more important is to build on the content for any activity for that matter. So yes, I am a very strong believer of virtual will stay for a long time. It might actually overtake hybrid also. Because as of now, in last 4 months, see, it's not that we have not used technology in years. We have been making Skype calls in the last 20 years. It's not a rocket science. But now we have come to acknowledge Skype as the more important, or any of these online channels more important than physically meeting somebody. This forced analysis or forced transformation in the meetings business will actually change how we will do our businesses in the future. For example, like I am a very strong, there are always phases in economy. So the infrastructure economy finished and the ideas economy started. Now we are into a very strange technology economy where if it is not online, it does not exist. So that digital footprint is help the entire world take care of the carbon footprint we were all crying about. Every conference, every session used to talk about a carbon footprint being created. So it was very opportune and the market declared for everyone to move to the virtual environments. Talking about the TSF as the yes, we hope to make it a revenue model based, but since it's being organized by a New Tourism Foundation, which is primarily purpose is to work on a no profit as a anywhere profits are not happening these days, no profit for our events. But this helped us map the entire student and the academia component in the country. So we were working on the content part. This is the industry, academia and the student interface. Today we are close to 2,000 plus registrations happening, and these are paid registrations. People have paid to attend the event. We have 218 sort of speakers in these events. So which means we built very strongly on the content part. So coming back to what we were discussing on is how we conduct our business has changed, and how we will keep conducting will keep changing as we go on. So if you look at me as a client for this conference, I'm not really worried. If I had let's say a 3,000 people conference in my regular line of business, I would be worried about a venue and the timings on the venue and the people who have to build it. That's the least of my worries now, which means infrastructure is least of my worries. My only worry is, can I get the people in, the right kind of people to speak? My take on it.
Good. Yeah, I think you are again touching the point I'm going to touch upon later. But before that, I'll go to Ashish now. Ashish, you are from the similar industry as myself and Naveen here. So what all changes have you seen, and how are you adapting to it?
See, as we all are aware that, we represent an industry which is the first to be impacted by any pandemic and will be the last to recover. So we could understand here that we need to look for most authentic ways to conduct safe events, keeping in mind government advisories, which will have a greater impact on MICE industry. We have identified reasonably probable health risk and prepared guidelines, starting from reapproaching to the clients, pre-events, during events, post-event norms. And we worked on infrastructure and other preventive measures which needs to be installed at any venue to make attendees feel safe to attend. Yes, no doubt about it that in case the vaccine comes in time, that will boost up confidence among the attendees to attend the events. And then, as we come from a background of managing large gathering events, it is very important for us to, prepare kind of SOPs of each area, wherein the core objective of making that was to adopt and follow optimum levels of hygiene and safety measures in order to ensure that the safety of the key stakeholders of the business in the business, and whilst delivering extraordinary service to our esteemed clientele. So it's very important that we select a right venue, have a, to post event because venue plays a key role. We should, we've worked on like, we should install CCTV cameras with thermal temperature check. There should be a detailed disinfection plan to be in place to cover all kind of checkpoints and like mics, door handles, tables, chairs, green rooms, even people coming inside, outside. So there has to be fixed attendance for the particular hall. The session should start in time. There should not be additional people allowed when the session has already started in. There has to be a complete team briefing, which is very important. It's not only about team briefing that our own team briefing, but as in all the stakeholders, whether it's a fabrication team, AV team, so all their, even their team briefing SOPs should be in place. Even the fabrication specific guidelines, all equipments that require to be event, how it could be sanitized and how it could be placed in time, because anyway, it's going to take, when we talk about, yes, I do agree that it would be a very expensive model now, because you would be needing venue well in time. You would be putting and placing equipments much before the event days, and to have a proper check, because you have to have a sanitization kits going forward, with safety kits with each of the manpower which you deploy at your event. So, and it's also very important to have a declaration strictness, whether it is from signing all from the vendors you have and their people which have been deployed by different stakeholders. And even we should have mandatory insurance process in place, because what happens generally is that people who've been coming in, we somehow skip this vital part of any kind of a conference. So when we talk about new normal, yes, these are the key points, what we think, in my opinion, that we have to be very careful about it.
Ashish, can you talk about some new opportunities that you're looking at right now for your business? Have you transformed, or have you done anything? Because I know the physical meetings are not happening. So how are you getting traction right now?
See, initially, we spent time understanding this pandemic. In fact, we studied words pandemic around the globe to have a better understanding, to have a way forward in these challenging times. And since no one had any option to organize any kind of physical event, so we ventured in virtual convention and courses. Though I am of a mindset not to promote much of virtual events, as one, there is a very less scope of networking for attendees, and this also impacts the economical growth of key stakeholders attached to this industry. So wherein we built up a 3D platform to give it a feel to clients that they are present in a convention, sitting and attending parallel sessions, interacting with exhibitors, submit and collect necessary e-collaterals. We are somehow successful in conducting such events, and we worked on various other technological aspects to create a new phase for events in the new normal scenario. We did kept our clients informed and updated with developments taken place at our end. But yes, for the timely, until the vaccine comes into place, we have to keep updating our own virtual platforms, or maybe a hybrid way to function. Even we tried to develop a thing, that if we do a hybrid event for at a particular venue, so why don't we have a 3D platform which actually appear to be in that of the same venue. So when you're sitting in that particular hall, or you're entering to that particular lobby of the pre-function area of that venue, the same appears on a 3D platform to all our clients who are actually not in the same event, because mostly the 3D platform generally which are going are more or less of the same kind, same kind of a look and feel. So we tried that to customize with the venue specifications. So our layout and everything, even the registration counters, even the any kind of, they want to submit kind of abstract, what we do in most of the medical association conferences, or there's any on-spot registration counter. So we try to place it on the same venue and to create a kind of a look and feel. And yes, in the times to come, that may vary, and we have to adopt new things as well.
Thank you, Ashish. Good that you touched upon, because that's where I want to now enter into a little bit of a controversial, question.
Okay.
Yesterday, in fact, I was talking to one of my clients who has been our client for the last about, I think, 12 years or so. We've been doing their physical events, and he surprisingly called me for a virtual event. And when I spoke to him and I said that, yes, things are changing, and because I thought that, things are going to move towards virtual, and I was thinking that, yes, people are transforming. He said that, he himself speaks in maybe, at least one conference a week, whether it's international or he travels a lot, and not now, but virtually now. So he said, we are going through a very, very difficult phase as a speaker. And this is from the speaker's perspective. He used the word something like death by webinar. He says, it's so boring and it's so not interesting for us to speak in front of a computer, where we can't even have a chat with anybody, because people come to you, they want to sit and have a coffee with you, and when you sit together, you create ideas, you talk so much. So that's one perspective that came from there. And then I was arguing with him, and I said, there is a other side to this, and which I think Mr. Binu and Sanjay touched upon very clearly, where, you talk about what is the cost of doing this. And when it is, it's economical to do this with more ROI, why would people want to come back? That's number one. Second is the convenience of doing this. We are all sitting in different places right now. We didn't have to spend more than 1 hour to do this, right? We didn't have to travel, or otherwise we would have gone to a hotel and sat down and, spoke about this. And the behavioral change that will come in by consistently doing this, which Mr. Binu touched upon, and I think Sanjay also touched upon this when he talked about, the convenience of doing this. So, do you think that it is ever going to come back in the new normal the way it was in the old normal? That's my question. And I think we'd like to go and hear everyone's views on this. So that,
can I start on this?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Yeah,
go
sorry,
ahead.
Sorry about the technical glitch earlier on. So you said about this gentleman speaking to you yesterday about the fact that he found it very serious, and as you said, death by webinar. I think I would tend to really agree with him, because you have a webinar which is kind of online, and there are no opportunities to be informal at all. Everybody is very, very serious and very, very business-like. It's a very transactional kind of an environment. The reasons why people actually travel from all over the world to a particular destination for 2 days, it also helps to build and forge relationships. There is a cocktail evening where people talk to each other. People get to interact with many other people informally, okay? And then probably a few like-minded people get together, and there's a new kind of a relationship that forms, which could probably be lifelong, a business relationship. When it comes to these kind of seminars online, people just switch off after the event gets over, and they go back to their coffee or their lunch or their book, etc. So the transactional nature of these events could only last in the short term. I don't think they can become the new normal once everything is normalized. People would go back to summits, people would travel all halfway around the world for physical interactions, because there is a certain amount of limitation when it comes to online interactions. Like as I mentioned, like bonding over dinner, bonding over drinks, all that does not happen when it comes to the online space. That can only happen in physical meetings, and physical meetings are here to stay. I would say that 2022 onwards, once things get to some semblance of normalcy, we should see a revival of everything. We are seeing some green shoots right now in the wedding business, as I was telling you, in the hotel, because people do want to get out and celebrate. Of course, conferences and events are not happening in my hotel. We have nothing at all over in the future. But these events are here to stay for good. This is only a temporary blip. That's my opinion. And 2022, at least the latter half of 2022, would see a re-emergence of all of these events, which should be good for the revival of the entire industry and the ecosystem.
Do you think, Srikanth, behavioral change and cost will play a major role in maybe reducing the numbers of physical events gradually?
I don't think so. You know, once there is a vaccine in place and people get the confidence to travel freely, this COVID will be a thing of the past. It's not going to haunt us for the rest of our life. People right now are making it to be like, it's going to haunt us for the rest of our lives. I don't think so. Because eventually with the kind of technology and research happening in this field, medical research, this will be as common as the flu going forward. That's my...
Naveen, you want to add? Yeah, thank you, Srikanth. Naveen.
Yes, I want to add what Srikanth just said. See, the whole talk about this virtual is like talk about domestic tourism, something which was already existing. This thing is already existing for last 25 years. I remember when I was passing out through my management graduation, I made a project on video conferencing. That time it was latest, 97, 98.
And so you are the one who started it. You are the one who started it, right? You are the one who started the virtual thing.
So I said, and people were saying, oh, you wanted to get into this industry. My classmates were going into FMCG and all. They said, but this video conferencing concept is all there. So I thought, okay, let me do research on this. What is this new technology is all about? And that time it just started in the world, especially in India. And later on, when I did my finding, I found that this is something which will coexist. It will never overtake anything. And you see in last 20 years, how this industry has evolved, the way it has gone up, up and up and up. Same like domestic tourism. Everybody's talking about domestic tourism. Domestic tourism is existing in India or even in the world, I think, since the world has started. So what is new about it? Similarly, on these lines, what Srikanth said, please understand what is our business. Our business is all about interaction with people. Man is a social animal. See, conferences brings technology and people together. Not from today, always. Now, what can happen that basically with these kinds of virtual events, like Srikanth rightly said, and even I am also bored of attending those, so many. And people lose interest after some time. Right now, I'm speaking, I do not know. I can see only 4 or 5 of us. I do not know who is listening. When I'm sitting in a hall, when I speak from the stage, I know whom I'm seeing, how many people are taking really interest. Very interesting facts in all these virtual events. Every organizers claim that now we have 3,000 people logged in. How many are listening? Are 3,000 listening? I have my doubts. So when you are in a hall and talking to people, you can see and you can make it out how many of them are listening to you. How many are serious about everything. Also, please remember, Amit, you also do the same things, what we do normally and all these things. How many people are inside the hall when actual event happens? Not even 50%. The idea is to interact. Idea is to do business. Idea is to understand each other. I used to work for hotels before that, like you also. I've never seen in my previous assignment, being a hotelier also in one of the biggest hotels in this country, obviously Grand Hyatt, Mumbai, like I used to organize all the big Bollywood shows. And I hardly used to see people inside the show. Everybody is after either a star out with some designer or somewhere. People want to interact. The whole purpose of our industry is interaction. All businesses are done not inside the conference hall, outside the conference halls. So conference or an event is just a medium of reaching somewhere. Some may get some tax advantages. Some may get the per diems to travel. That's one thing. But businesses are not done inside that conference hall. Except for the medical conferences where you have some live surgery demonstration or some outstanding speaker is talking like late IBJ Abdul Kalam. I remember when we were doing this NASSCOM annual event in Grand Hyatt, Mumbai, and he was the keynote speaker and the chief guest. Entire IT industry in 2005 was listening to him like this, including all the big shots, because the way he used to speak, and he got a standing ovation. How many speakers got that or normally get it in the normal course? All the businesses, my entire F&B was sold out, my entire restaurants were sold out, and they were all having these 1-to-1 or 4 to 5 people meeting. Hotel made the maximum revenue, not because of the conference happening in the convention center, because of the F&B sale what we did. That I'm talking about 2005 when we just opened. We were just hardly 6-7 months young that point of a time. So we made money out of the F&B. We made money out of these services. And that's what my hotel friends are talking about, which is the true fact. So from the business point of view, also from us as a service provider, from the client's point of view, also those who would like to interact with people, all these things needs to have a physical presence. Please understand another thing. We all travel abroad. We all keep 1 or 2 days extra to see the place, didn't we? We all do that. Whenever we travel, I always do. Whenever I travel to a new country, I always keep 1 day for myself. That's my personal trip. I pay myself for that 1 extra day or 2 extra day. I would like to see the local destination. It's very easy. You can see on Google and you can see from Canada to New Zealand, everything. Do you experience the same? No. So please understand, this was always there. This will always remain there, but just like a supplement. When I have to conduct meetings with my 10 offices in India and 3 overseas, I do this conferencing. I have in my office have this equipment from last 15 years. I've been doing this with my team, with my internal budget presentation. I'm not going every branch or every country for this job. But do I enjoy the same thing doing for IMEX? No. Do I enjoy the same thing doing for IBTM? No. It will not work. See, I don't know who is listening right now. I do not know whether people who logged in are serious enough to listen to this particular thing. Maybe here the students are, their interest level will be more. So the fact is that physical events cannot be replaced. It was never replaced in late 90s. It will never even replace in 2040 and 50 also. You mark my words.
Thank you, Naveen, for sharing your perspective, and we see your emotions in it as well. Yes, I mean, and we are just discussing the other perspective as well, whether this behavioral and cost, aspect will affect some people. So I'm going to move to Mr. Binu again now, because he touched upon this in terms of the ROI from a virtual meeting. And we'll come back to you, Amit. I saw you raising your hand. So what is your perspective, since we spoke about IMEX as a exhibition, largest exhibition for our industry? What do you think about this dilemma?
Could you repeat?
Yeah, so what is your opinion about the physical meetings being taken over by the virtual meeting because of the behavioral change, or the physical meetings will never go away?
Same. We belong to the breed of Homo sapiens. In the animal kingdom, every animals, go for herd mentality. The herd mentality came for safety. When the elephants move, the biggest and the strongest move in front, the rest follow. The children are inside, mothers are outside, and that's a herd mentality. That formed over billions of years, so it will not go away. The herd mentality will not go away because of 6 months. Now for us, the safety is isolation. We don't want to be in a herd. We don't want to be in a crowd. But this is a temporary blip. It's a very, very temporary blip. The new normal will pave way to old normal quite soon. Maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. I am traveling every day. I can see people interacting, people going here and there without any fear. So I think that the new normal will pave way to old normal, and the conferences and the physical exhibitions will come back. But every coin has got 2 sides. So let us not say one side. If you just say one side for our business, it will be suicidal. So we have to see what is happening and what will happen in future. The virtual exhibitions will continue. The virtual events will continue because it offers so many, it's a bad news for the hoteliers here. But after we did the AGM for one of the organizations, which was attended by 3,000 people, the president told me that next year, even if the physical returns, I will do the same. Otherwise, I was booking 4 halls in Maurya Sheraton. I was booking 100 rooms. I was paying for so many tickets. Nothing. I have saved all the money, and my communication is there, has been done, and my annual anybody can download my what's that called, annual report. They could download the PwC report about the industry, etc. So I have achieved what I wanted to do. So my take is that both will exist. Both will thrive. We had to be on both sides of it. I don't know how hotels will do it, but as exhibitions and conferences, both things is going to continue. That's my take on the entire thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Amit, you had a point to make.
See, except the fact, past 7 months, depression cases in India is almost 35%. Why there is a depression? Because they're not able to interact. They're locked, right? So I remember we were doing one of the meetings and the trainer was from Netherlands in month of July. And that was the time Switzerland got opened in Europe. And the day government said, okay, hotels are open, on the same day, within the span of 4 hours, all the hotels were booked by the local people, right? In the same way in India, if you'll ask me, August or July, when the hotel started opening up, destinations like Udaipur just sold out completely. Why? People from Ahmedabad, all those things were traveling by the roads. People are Uti, yes, from Bangalore, people started traveling. The thing was, no one want to sit at home and get into this shape, right? They feel suffocated, if you'll ask me. Then if that virtual is the life, then humans don't require a human. As simple as that. So this will never, ever gonna go away. If you'll ask me, there are so many meetings we are doing with the clients every day. The problem is, for how long you can beat around the bush? How are you? How's family? Everything is fine. Okay, fine. Now he can't offer you a cup of tea. Would you like to have a cup of tea? Because every interaction will start from the cup of tea, right? Here is nothing. Oh, okay, fine. Let's come to the point. Now, let's come to the point. Okay, it's a business only, end of the day. You cannot ask him. You cannot expect the business directly from him, because a cup of tea or cup of coffee is the most key factor for the business to do the turnaround. We are missing out that. And trust me, how many ideas people are getting nowadays? As Mr. Shrikant said, Mr. Naveen mentioned, Mr. Binu mentioned, the same thing is we are running short of the thought process ideas because we are not interacting. Once you don't interact, how you'll get the new ideas? So yes, this platform is gonna be there for sure. But yes, it's not gonna be the first priority. It will definitely gonna take, okay, fine, as and when needed. Human interaction will be there and this turnaround will happen. It's already started. I'm sure, as I said, everyone is moving out slowly and gradually. Mr. Binu just mentioned that he was traveling. In fact, I had a call with my partner airline Indigo today morning only. They have a 250 fleets put all together. Till month of August, they said we were having a 70 fleet operation, 70 flights every day. Now it has gone up to 130 every day. And if the DGCA will approve by November, hopefully they will go back to 200 and international may also start, right? So it's getting where it has to be. UAE and all those things, my friend said very clearly that now for the front corona warriors, they are giving a vaccine. I don't know what vaccine is available in Dubai, but he's telling, yes, they are getting some kind of a vaccine because they are in the front line, right? So things are shaping up. Please understand, nothing can stop the human life. Is just a phase and everything will be bouncing back. And maja to usi ka hi hai na yaar, as simple as that.
Thanks, Amit. So I think in the interest of time, Sanjay, we have 2 minutes to go. So I'm just going to take quick feedback from Mr. Tiwari on this. And I think then we should be good to close, right? So yes.
I completely agree with Mr. Binu. You see, as a human being, nobody can cage us. And we are just striving to get out of that cage, everybody. There will be revenge travel, there will be revenge outing, there will be revenge eating, everything will be there. Of course, a smaller component is likely to remain to these virtual meetings, especially in corporate and official meetings. Because those meetings could be conducted where 15-20 people are needed. But as Mr. Walker also said, you cannot replace that impact of personal touch and personal context. Those informal chats, that chat over a cup of coffee or a pack of whiskey, nothing can come out. I discuss sitting here around 7 or 8 people. I Mr. Rizal very correct. You don't know how many people are listening to you. Because in fact, we also conducted some webinars and initially said up to 300 people registered. But in between it came down to 72 also, then it went to 130, 170. So they are not serious listeners. Some of them are listening to you just because they are friends and you have invited them, and they cannot afford to so they are just logged in. I have done the same thing. Some of the webinars I was asked to attend, so I just logged in and I kept on doing my work. So nothing can replace human touch and personal interaction. Only thing is, see, these events and exhibitions require us to be together, but that is the biggest enemy as of today, because COVID needs that only. COVID wants us to be there, and our instinct also wants us to be there. But we have to give priority to COVID right now. So maybe for 6 months, 1 year, maybe 2 years, we might continue like this, but we'll come back to that. There's no question, there's no second thought about that. We have to be there.
Thank you. So that's very optimistic. I think the whole panel feels. So I think I have a nod from Sanjay for extended time. Thank you for that, Sanjay. So I think Sanjay wants to add a point, and then we'll move to Ashish.
Yeah, can I like to add here something. Optimism, pessimism is two things. Okay. I think I'll share an experience with you or a thought of mine. I come from a background of an architect. As an architect, we are not reactive. We are actually the people who can be proactive and we can predict futures. Because when we work on urban designs and cities planning, we have to project the behavior plans or behavior changes that you can predict 30 years down the line. So it's not that what you do today. So let's not be reactive in what we think. So I like to play the devil's advocate. Permit me, Amit, for this. If you look at how the learning used to happen, the world's best schools, the Harvard Business School, Amit, you fell off. The world's best business schools is like the Harvard Business School that you have. Strangely, for last, the learning always used to happen as a residential school. Harvard Business School's model only works on if you have to be residents there. For last 15 years, Harvard and the Princeton and the Yales of the world actually run a parallel virtual learning programs, which are far more successful and have a much bigger reach than the actual existing program. So I think when we look at conferences, let's say a conference is a learning space, there are two things we all have been insisting on: networking. Alienate the conferencing, the learning part and the networking part. The learning can happen virtually. Networking, you need to get out. As a design company, as a meeting design, when we get to challenge to do that, or also as all people of us here, I think we should look at a projected situation of that learning and networking will be alienated from each other. If I can manage to learn without going to network out, I will choose to learn. In times of the COVID, I have 2 certificates from the Harvard today saying that I've learned new skills. So I didn't need to go anywhere. So that is going to have a huge impact on what infrastructures can be for the future. Do we really build for the infrastructure in the future? Or also, do the students or learners of the today need to transform what they are learning to be ready for the new future? Because we have now got used to it. See, yes, the people who are already existing in the business with huge investments in infrastructure, huge investment in hotels and in convention centers, we would, in our personal gain, would not like to change. But as a behavioral analysis, this will change for sure. Who knew that a mobile phone, a wireless, would replace a landline? So it has replaced. It won't work. If you're not ready for it, and we have to be tuned to the fact that the world is changing. The speed at which we changed 10 years ago, we will change now in 1 year. The effect is shown already. My take.
Very interesting, Sanjay. And somehow I agree with the perspective a little bit. And I see that the comeback, if at all there is going to be a comeback, it's not going to be easy. It is going to be there, but I feel that the volumes would go down, and that's what I feel, because as you said, it's going to get split. Maybe the learning side of it would get on to the virtual, and maybe the networking would come in, the in-person meeting. But there's definitely
the same thing what Mr. Binu said. His client who kept aside, suppose 2 crores of a marketing project for an AGM, would now use it for something else, which is research and development somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So if you look at as a business owner, I would like to invest more into R&D and less into infrastructure tomorrow for my conventions.
True. There is going to be an impact. Yes, agree. Yes, Ashish, I'm sure you have a different perspective. So let's hear it.
See, you know what? When we're talking about the virtual events taking over the physical events. See, we need to understand the basic crux of it. The networking means business. Even yes, it created a boom from past 3 months. People were more into virtual platforms, attending the sessions. But I've been in contact with my various other clients, and that kind of interest level has gone down. It's not what it used to be 3 months back, when in India it was on a complete boom and people were more keen to have webinars and finding new ways and exciting ways to do it. That's the reason I discussed that we are even changing that technology and look and feel to so that interest remain unless the government allows more gathering to be there at place. Because yes, if you see, it's not about in India, it's different parts of India, but wherever we go, you see that they are, internationally also, there are people out on streets, there are people, all businesses are happening. And as per the guarantees, the hybrid event has been started, and it's actually even not in the PSUs, but in the government sector as well. There are so many hybrid conferences which has been happening around India. So it all depends upon, yes, vaccine, what we discussed, yes, it's going to give a boost. But people are still been waiting for the government lines, government norms to allow these events to, open up. And in the similar way, the other industries have been allowed to given an access in their specific streams. So, and yes, the norms are being followed. The SOPs have been given to the government of India. And when we talk about that, cinema halls have been opening, and with the specific guidelines and all, I'm sure the same way the events can go in the same way, and for the larger gathering as well, the events, the following those norms, it can be a kind of a safe environment. I mean, it would be more easy to go to a vegetable market and buy vegetables, and you being in a attending an event. So it would be more, safe to attend such events, and and it's not only about exchange of knowledge. Yes, that as it was well managed, well said by Mr. Rizvi, that there are hardly an attendance and people are out of the thing. Even for the exhibitions, that look and feel, that networking, that negotiations, that what actually makes the conversation turn into a business. So this is, yes, we just pray that, this kind of, this vaccine comes soon and all, but it's very important that there is a urge to the government that they, enhance the guidelines with more than 200 people and all, and then we all will witness that events are happening around us. Their conventions and exhibitions are being conducted getting conducted in all the cities.
Thank you, Ashish. So I think we had a very interesting and insightful discussion today, and with the insights on how various segments of our industry are adapting. Great to see the example from Pride Hotel. I mean, that was very inspiring, to think out of the box and go for co-working spaces and, all the opportunities. And we had the exhibition company, Meroform, going in digital space and becoming a tech company at the end of the day. So I think it's a very, very transformational change that has happened, which would have not happened because of COVID. And this is again an opportunity for all the students who are listening today, that we are here to adapt, we are here to grow whatever it takes. And there is no reason for them to worry in terms of what industry they are studying for and what industry or career path they have chosen for themselves. So before we close, I'll come back to you, Mr. Tiwari. Before we close, I think I will come back to each one of you now to leave a message of advice to every student who's listening today, and instill some confidence in terms of, that they have chosen the right industry, and the industry leaders are there to adapt, and they are there to make necessary changes to further grow the industry. I personally see if both the things, as Mr. Binu said, are going to coexist, I think at least, Neroform is going to double the size. So at this point of time, I think the whole industry is going to double the size. So that's an opportunity. So on that note, I think I'll go one by one, and I would ask everyone to leave a message and advice. And of course, Mr. Tiwari, you share your thoughts as well.
In fact, I wanted to speak on this subject of students only, because we are running one IHM also, and we run multiple courses related to skill development in hospitality and tourism sector. My only advice to the students is, see, each crisis comes with an opportunity. My own reading is, post-COVID, the moment industry starts reviving, everybody would be almost like a startup. Somebody might have been at a level of maybe Z, but everybody, when industry begins, it will be at the same level. So everybody would be in a startup almost. And this is the time when a student who is interested, who is really talented, and he has serious intentions, it is a very good time for him to start his own business, because he will have to compete with a lesser number of people. This is for sure, compared to what he would have competed 2 years back. And so, because of my only message, that now everybody is a startup. So everybody will be at a similar point. So students need not worry. If they have some zeal and enthusiasm, they have a very good future, maybe after 1 year or 2 years, maybe if not immediately. This is what I have to say.
Amit, you want to go first?
I believe every problem has two prospects. First is bhaglo, which is run away, and second is bhaglo, to participate. So it's a very simple dynamics, as Mr. Tiwari really mentioned it perfectly. After this, might be all the ventures will be like a startup, right? There is nothing to worry about. It's like, the phases will come and phases will go. How do we know that this is the only one pandemic, and after this nothing gonna happen, right? It just take everything as an opportunity. Everything is an opportunity. And trust me, this is one of the best field. I really loved it, because it's all about the passion driven. It's all about the passion driven. And that's it. All the very best. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Srikanth.
Yes, my message to the students is, do not get bogged down by this. It's a temporary blip, and it's just, a bit of a stormy weather, but the flight has to continue, the journey has to continue, and you have a destination to reach. But more importantly, it is the journey that's important. You are about to embark on this journey, which is very, very exciting. It has a promising career for you guys. So just chin up, and we are all with you. The entire industry, the entire ecosystem is with you. We are all there to support you, and we look up to you as the future of this industry. Okay, so we see a lot of bright stars, future CEOs, future general managers, future managing directors. All of you are out there. So you do not lose hope, and we will all come out of it together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Binu, your message.
My message to the students is, go where your heart and your dreams take you. Keep your mind open. Like Gandhiji said, keep the windows of your mind open. Let the air come in from all directions. See outside. Adapt to the changes. And there is a bright future waiting for you. The world has changed over the times. It will change for the better in the future. It will be, I have seen that every generation, the life has been better. I have seen over a long period of time. So as everybody is saying here, it's a small blip. So right now we feel it it's the biggest black swan. But when a black swan comes, there is a blue oceans also there. Learn to swim in the black swan and also in the blue oceans. You will reach your destination.
Thank you. Naveen.
See, especially students who are in hotel management or in tourism must be thinking whether to continue in this industry or not. And they have different questions in mind because of my interaction with a lot of universities in the past. I think you need to understand one thing: never take a big decision for the small challenges. When you have a temporary phase in your life, never take any drastic decisions. This is a temporary phase. This will not last forever. This will keep happening, and things like in the past also we face these challenges. When I remember when I passed out, after soon in a year's time, we had a Kargil war. But didn't mean that I moved out from this industry or I said, okay, oh, just 1 year, let's change the industry again. So that doesn't work. Then I remember after a few years, then we have this 2001. And then does it make sense to again move out from the industry? No. So if you have decided something, if you are clear about it, that you want to pursue in the field of hospitality and tourism, then you should. If you have just taken the admission or you are just passing your time, then so there is nothing. You can do either whatever you want to do. But if you are really like Amit just said, you have to be passionate. In this business, the passion that makes a lot of difference. The meaningful passion. Only no passion, just passion doesn't make you business. You have to have meaningful passion with you. And if you are passionate, you understand things and you feel like you should have a self-confidence. That is the key thing in this business. Whether you are working in a hotel or you are an event company or a conference management company or an exhibition company, you should have basically a zeal to do something. You should always feel that, okay, yes, we have to achieve something. If you have those kinds of understanding in your mind, then I don't foresee any challenge. Please remember one thing, the good part about the service industry, you are valuable. When you are behind a product, the product dominates the value. Now today, if Apple, if for example, any phone, take an example of iPhone. iPhone sells because of its features. In our industry, you are more important. It's your skills which really works. That's the biggest positive point as far as this industry is concerned. So stay into it. If you have thought about it carefully, even before joining it, you have a great future ahead. Like in any other businesses, if you are interested and you have a passion for the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Naveen. I'll go to Ashish first and then come back to Sun.
Yeah, so, it's, in my opinion, it's very important for a fresher to have a belief that they are going to explore the world of a never going to die industry. So, it's like whatever you see around is a part of event. Our whole life is about celebrating, exchanging knowledge, networking to enhance our business. So it's very important that we need to be passionate about it to be successful. They need to innovate in their own way to get noticed. It's very important that they have a detailed know-how about what they wish to venture in, because MICE is a very vast industry. So they need to be very sure that where they actually wish to where they look themselves in coming years to come. And it's also important that they that they keep them updated, because knowledge and the know-how to get into industry is very important. So, and another message, very important message I want to give to them, that whenever they join any organization, they should tend to spend a quality time in that organization to understand the crux of the business. And very important that this industry, I mean, I say it's the only industry which gives you an opportunity to connect with you, to connect from people of from different parts of the world, understand their culture, art, cuisine, demographies. So be positive and passionate about this industry. I'm sure whatever decision you have taken and what made you thought to join this industry will actually gonna help you, and may you prosper in times to come.
Thank you, Ashish. Sanjay, your comments and message to the students. Of course, you are doing a fantastic event for them, so you have a great message already. You're on mute.
I think it's good to feel positive, good to feel optimistic, but the standard question, see, let's look at a pandemic or non-pandemic situation. The question always is, what I'm learning behind a boundary of a college or institution, is this what the industry would need outside? This entire exercise of doing a tourism student festival was to create a bridge between the industry, academy, and the students. I think I will send a bigger message to the academy and lesser to the students in this case. The academy has to understand that every day this industry is transitioning to something new. 15 years ago, we did not know about MICE. And 2 years from now, we will say we never knew about virtual events. Similarly, there was a time when only one part of India used to be sold. In year 2000, Kerala, God's own country, transformed how India looked at tourism, how the world would look at India for tourism. Tomorrow we cannot predict, but the job of the academician is actually to predict the future and train the student in that direction. The responsibility on the academician is much more than the student to learn. So the exposure is important. This is where it's very important for this this time of the century is, this is the worst time to pass out of a college because the world is very unsafe, as one of the deans explained to me. But yes, people are passing out, people will pass out from colleges. Just think that you're armed with a little raw material that you're passing out with. The world outside has changed and will keep on changing in the next few 6 months. The only thing you can bank on is your own confidence, your own strength, your own ability to innovate at this time. Because if you follow the same rut, trust me, there is just no solution. You have to innovate, you will have to repackage it. As I always say, in a travel industry, working with travel agents and tourism, Mera Taj Mahal, tumhare Taj Mahal se safed kaise? In the end, you're selling the same Taj Mahal. But what happens, what adds on? Adds on is your service standards. How will you present the same Taj Mahal to the visitor? You are only an interface to sell a product to a third party. So keep feeling positive, but don't get overconfident. Come out armed with knowledge, but yes, you understand the biggest word in 2021 and 22 would be disruption. Things would have got disrupted. You have to be alive to disruptions happening around you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you to all the panelists for joining in today. And I think we had a very, very interesting discussion. Some of the key takeaways for myself personally as well. Thank you all for your time.
I'm thankful to all our eminent panelists for their insightful and thoughtful addresses, and also to the viewers of this session. I'm sure that the takeaways of the session will enthuse confidence among students and young professionals during the current testing times towards the new normal. We have a surprise for you all attendees. Scan the QR code on your screens with your mobile phones and answer 10 questions in 10 minutes. You will get to win prizes and surprise gifts. And I shall see you in the next session.